Hi. From the very beginning of this channel, I have had a banner heading at the top of my homepage, which says Atta Shabdanushasanam. Atta Shabdanushasanam. Well, I have never discussed that in particular or explained it, but it seemed like this would be a good time to do that. And the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do it in some depth. So, Atta Shabdanushasanam are the first words of Mahabhashya, the first words of Mahabhashya. And I am going to share with you these first words along with uh, the first portion of the of Mahabhashya related to this directly, because it has to do with words. And at this point, although we still have a long way to go with our Sandhi Sutras, we have covered quite a lot of ground. And it can be said at this point that we are truly exploring and trying to learn about words. And in our next video, we will uh, look fairly deeply into one word which is extraordinary in a particular way. So this seemed like a good time to share this. Now, first of all, I do not pretend to have any great knowledge of Mahabhashya, to put it mildly. Most of what I do know is thanks to Professor Dasgupta, who's posthumously published papers on the first four sections of Mahabhashya, along with his commentary and notes, uh, is pretty much what I know. So that's what this is going to be closely tied to. Professor Dasgupta's uh, translation and interpretation, I guess you could say. Also, the text here uh, in Dasgupta's published notes, it's all in transliterated. So I am using Keelhorn's original manuscript. And in fact, right now, this whiteboard is resting on the first volume of Keelhorn's manuscript. In doing this, I don't know if it's technically Padapata because this is not verse, but I have undone most of the Sundays just to make it easier to follow. Now, a secondary thought I have about sharing this is just to try to make it less uh, intimidating, or somehow Mahabhashya seems like, or sounded to me like, something that's out of reach for most most of us who are interested in the language. But that's really not true. And so I hope you'll bear with me as I try to share this section pertaining to words with you. So again, the first words are Atta Shabdanushasanam. And that has the sense of now follows the instruction of words. Now follows the instruction of words, which is really an extraordinarily perfect headline for this huge commentary. And as I think you'll find, Patanjali is not given to fancy language. He's pretty down to earth. So he starts right out with the first obvious question, which is, what is a word? And then goes on, why should we be instructed? So we're going to just handle the first question, what is a word? So, ata shabdanushasanam, ata iti ayam shabdo adhikarayaha prayujyate, shabdanushasanam shastram adhikartam veditavyam. Now I'm giving the translation, again, essentially Dasgupta's. The word atta is used to indicate the commencement of the topic. Though the topic of the instruction of words is a long process, the word atta indicates the commencement of such a topic. The action of instruction has for its object the words. The word adhikara means prastava, or the commencement of a topic. Now, I will say this is a conversation, as so many things are in commentary, and it can start to seem confusing about who's talking, but I think in this case, it's pretty much a dialogue between the teacher, Patanjali, and students who have questions. So the first is just a word of introduction from Patanjali about the Shabdanushasana. So then the next logical question is Kesham Shabdanam. Kesham Shabdanam. Of what words? Of what words? And now the teacher comes back. Laukikanam Vaidikanam cha. Laukikanam Vedikanam cha. Of the popular and the Vedic words. Now the student asks again, or no, the teacher elaborates. Now, all of this, just as I'm giving it, is in the notes. So I'm having this here just as something to keep your eye on or something. So the teacher says further in the question of what words, tatra laukika stavat gaur ashvaha purusho hasti shakuni mrigo brahmana iti vaidikaha kalvapi. There, the popular words are like the cow, the horse, the man, the elephant, the bird, the beast, the Brahmin, and so forth. Also, there are the Vedic. Now, the examples of Vedic are given in Vedic phrases because it doesn't really work to take a Vedic word out of context. So they're examples of four Vedas, and I have a policy of not trying to recite or read Veda for both because it may be inappropriate and also because I'm very unlikely to recite it correctly. So that's not our key focus. We just know that those are included. And so the question now is, Atta Gauri Titra Kaha Shabdaha. Atta Gauri Titra Kaha Shabdaha. Well, now the question is, what is the word in Galho? Cow. What is the word in Galha? And the student asks, Kim yatat sasna langula kakuda kura vishanya atta rupam sashabdaha. Does Shabda denote the object, which is a combination of the dewlap, the tail, the hump, the hoof, and the horn? And the teacher answers, Nityaha, dravyam nama tat. No, that is called dravya, substance. Yatarhitad ingitam cheshtitam nimishitam sa shabdaha. Does shabda then mean gesturing, moving, or the winking? Again, the teacher answers, Nityaha kriya namasa. Nityaha kriya namasa. No, that is called action, kriya. The student's still asking, try to pin this down. Yatarhi tachuklo Nilaha, Krishnaha, Kapilaha, Kapota, iti sashabdaha. Is it then the white, the blue, the brown, or the gray that is to be called Shabda? Teacher says, Nityaha, Guno namasaha. Guno namasaha. No, this is Guna. The student tries again. And these are actually, they're sort of intuitive, but they're actually very specific technically concerning different spotas and things. But they are sort of logical attempts to find out what this word thing is, the shabda actually is. And we're looking at something we can get a handle on. Yat tarhi tad bineshva abhinam chineshva achinam samantya bhutam shasabdaha. Should that which being broken remains unbroken, being torn remains untorn, the highest aspect of all things be called Shabda? Okay, so this is one of these times where there's a term that Saman Bhuttam is Samanya Bhuttam is could we're just taking an overall application of that because it's not an easy term. So should that which being broken remains unbroken, being torn remains untorn, the highest aspect of all things be called Shabda? Nityaha akriti nama sa. Nityaha akriti nama sa. No, it is called akriti. And now the student is kind of throwing in the towel. Kastarhi shabdaha. Kastabi shabdaha. And now the punchline, which in a way this is all about, and is just the more I think about it, the more extraordinary it is. Again, having back in the day when I was first learning these sutras and so on, I was a graduate student in linguistics. So I have Patanjali's answer to compare with. I mean, we all know that Ashtadhyayi stands alone as a grammar. And also Mahabhashya as a resource, an ultimate resource. But this is something that shows conceptually how astonishing Patanjali and the other grammarians were. This is right up there with, you could say even neurolinguistics, the answer, what is the shabda? What is the shabda of cow or gao? Yeno charitena sasna langula kakuda kura vishaninam sampratyayo bhavati sa shabdaha. Yeno charitena sasna langula kakuda kura vishaninam sampratyayo bhavati sa shabdaha. That which, being pronounced, leads to the comprehension in the hearer's mind of the animal possessing dewlap, tail, hump, hoof, and horn. That is called shabda. So it's an incredibly sophisticated way of thinking about words. The word is not any of these other things. It is the thing that, having been said, we think cow. And now, the next time we talk, we will go deeply into the many forms of one word.